Hey, what's up everybody? Prime22 here, bringing you another episode of the Transformers Lore Podcast. The Transformers Lore Podcast seeks to cover material in the Transformers multiverse that doesn't have any visual element to it, so it's hard to make a proper video for it, because there's nothing to see. Usually this comes in the form of text stories, or in this case script readings, or what have you. Now, it has been a long time since I've actually sat down and done a video. Pretty much since early August, I've had... Everything you've been watching up to this point was, made in early August. At latest August 10th, I think. So now, I'm finally getting back to it, and for those of you who do YouTube or public speaking or anything of the sort, you know that if you get out of the groove at some point, and then you come back, you start to trip on your words, and you're just bad. You're just bad. So, that's where I am right now. I'm in this weird phase where I'm trying to get back into it, because, I need to get my uploads out. So, yeah. So this should be the first Transformers Lore podcast of September, and I like to do something different. We have a main focus right now. Right now, we have a main focus of Beast Wars Uprising. I saw someone comment asking if the podcast was only for Beast Wars Uprising, and obviously that's not true, because the first episode was Star Wars Transformers. But we're just focusing on Beast Wars Uprising right now, but I don't want to do too much in one row. Too much in one row, that's not how you say it, is it? Too much in a row. There we go. And, so today we're going to be covering something different before we get back to Beast Wars Uprising, and that is the story, the script reading that happened for the story called Be in the City. So our story is going to start in Malgus 1207.26 Alpha, and that is the universe where Transformers Animated takes place. This is some point after Isaac Sumdac has been sort of freed and is working with the Autobots freely, and before Sorry Sumdac has turned into has been super aged. It's been a while since I watched Animated. Something with the Allspark, I bet. But it's in that period, and right now, Isaac Sumdac's working on developing the Bidirectional Unified Transit Terminal to help see if it can send the Autobots back to Cybertron, since they're pretty much lacking a way to get there. Possibly this takes place before any space bridges were made up, but yeah. Now, the Bidirectional Unified Transit Terminal is an acronym. If you take the first letters, it spells BUT. So there's that. Although Isaac Sumdac did also build at some point the fully automated rapid transit system, and that spells fart, so he's not the best at coming up with systems that, if you put them in acronym form, they're, good. So there's that. But anyway, the BUT... the BUT goes wrong. I wrote my notes, but it's been a while since I've went through it again. Because, I've pretty much done everything a while ago. I don't remember if Sorry's key had anything to do with the BUT going wrong, or if it just went wrong. I don't remember. I'll have to double check. I'll fill you guys in on the next episode of the Transformers Lore Podcast, if on this little thing. But yeah, the BUT goes wrong. Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, and Sorry go through the BUT. Christ, that just sounds... Jesus. They go through the BUT. I have the sense of humor of a 12-year-old. They go through the Bidirectional Unified Transit Terminal and end up in Axiom Nexus. And Axiom Nexus is sort of the capital city of Cybertron in Nexus 208.0 Epsilon, the universe of the Transtechs. And for those of you who don't know the Transtechs, I talked about the Nexus cluster a little bit in previous videos, but they're universes that haven't had any war. The Autobots and Decepticons work together, and they've become so technologically advanced that their job is to observe the multiverse. The Transtechs were the ones who invented the Transtech notation system. And the Transtech notation system being referring to universes by their proper coordinates, like Primex 94.17 Alpha, Nexus 208.0 Epsilon, that stuff. And there's a video on that. But yeah, Axiom Nexus seems to have a knack for people falling down into that universe from any weird point in the multiverse. And so that's where our heroes land. They land in Axiom Nexus and they meet Officer Flare-Up. And she's a officer for Axiom Nexus. And she finds them and she arrests them because they don't name it in the script, I don't think. I'm not sure, they might have. But the concept is called Dux Non Intuitus. And basically the main rules are there are no primes allowed in Axiom Nexus because They tend to have war. No Megatrons allowed. So those two, you can't have the two leaders being in there. That being said, there is an Optimus Prime and Megatron of the Transtech universe, but they're Transtech, so they get to stay there. But people from other universes who come to Axiom Nexus, if they're a Prime or a Megatron, no siree. Also, no, and the quote is cosmic MacGuffins, but basically no, items of power, no. They just straight up call them in universe MacGuffins. So no MacGuffins, no matrices, no Allspark cubes, and what have you. And the last rule, no soliciting. So yeah. And the Dux Non-Intuitus rule, at least the no Prime and Megatron's part, actually plays a role in future Transtech stories. The soliciting, I don't think it... Actually, I'm not even sure the soliciting rule even applies in actuality, because you have a whole lot of different businesses in Axiom Nexus, like Swindle, and Swindle. And I guess you could say, isn't there a blue deployer in Axiom Nexus? Anyway, let's move on. So because they're there, they're arrested and they have to go through processing, which really is just a lot of paperwork. I don't remember if the consequence for being a Prime or a Megatron in Axiom Nexus stays just paperwork. I'm pretty sure they deport some back to their home universes. But this bit was sort of made tongue-in-cheek anyway, so no need to look too deep into it. But after processing, the crew finds Shockwave of the Transtechs, the sub-commander 3rd rank from the Menacing and Foreboding Sciences Division of the Axiom Nexus Military Intelligence Branch. Oh boy. But Shockwave sees at least Optimus Prime and Sari as a threat to Axiom Nexus Society because 1, Optimus Prime is a Prime, and 2, Sari has her Allspark key, which sort of counts as a MacGuffin. So Shockwave takes Optimus Prime and Sari to his lab, but Bumblebee's pretty much left because he's not a threat. He's the kid appeal character. But he pretty much goes with Flare-Up, and Flare-Up, I have it written in my notes here. She thought they would be deported. Yeah, they do get deported. That's what happens. But she thought Prime and Sari would be deported and not arrested. And so she's freaking out, like, what's going on here? So she decides to work with Bumblebee to try to help free Optimus Prime and Sari. Now, Shockwave experiments on Sari's Allspark key. He makes a little reference. There's this running gag in this skit that Bumblebee is referred to like the name of every other Kid Appeal character, and then Optimus Prime gets referred to as Rescue Roy. And as someone whose first Transformer was Rescue Roy, I thought that was pretty cool. They haven't forgotten about Rescue Roy at least. So Bumblebee and Flare-Up go look for help, and they find an individual who is going by the name of Joe. And this is actually Megatron of, a Beast Wars style Megatron. Not the Beast Wars Megatron, but a Beast Wars Megatron. And he's going by the name of Joe to sort of avoid the Dux Non-Intuitus rule. But yeah. So Joe hears about that Sari has the Allspark key, and he sort of schemes as he wants it for himself, so he decides to help them, with air quotes around help, to free Sari and Optimus Prime, but really he's after the key. They sneak in, they get themselves arrested by Flare-Up taking them to the jail thing, or to Shockwave's lab, yeah, and saying that these two are Primes, and Bumblebee goes by the name BMS Prime, and Joe goes by the name Joe Convoy. But they're brought to Shockwave's lab, and that's when there's also a Star Wars reference here, but they go into Shockwave's lab, and they pretty much fight Shockwave, defeat him, but then Megatron takes the Allspark key, and he's like going to use this key to take power, and he brings to life a lot of different equipment in Shockwave's lab. But then Flare-Up, the law-abiding officer, tells the creations that now that they're born, they have to fill out a lot of paperwork, and so all these new Allspark key creations get pissed off at their new life, so they turn against Megatron and sort of drag him off screen, or what would be off screen since it's a script reading. But yeah, they take down Megatron. Or Joe. There's a little joke where Joe starts laughing and then Bumblebee says, yo, Joe? And I'm like 99% sure that one joke is the entirety of the reason they named him Joe. Or at least he goes by the name Joe. So with Megatron defeated, Shockwave decides to send the Malgus 1207.26 Alpha people back home. And he and Flare-Up agrees to never talk about this again, which is something you see pop up several times in comedic script readings that are technically canon. But yeah, there's also a little foreshadowing that Sari's a robot. So yeah. But that was Be in the City. A little interlude to our depressing Beast Wars Uprising journey right now. And I don't know how to end these things. It's been a while since I've recorded. But yeah, I like Be in the City. You know, it's funny. It's got a lot of gags, got a lot of goofs. But yeah, that's going to wrap up this episode of the Transformers Lore Podcast. Tomorrow, not tomorrow, Jesus. Next Wednesday, we're going to be talking about Beast Wars Uprising again. And yeah. Primus plays on Fridays, Transformers Lore on Monday. So thank you so much for listening. Subscribe if you would like to and have not yet. Follow me on Tumblr. Follow me on Twitter for social updates. Follow me on Twitter for updates. That's what's a social update? Join the Discord server to join the community and join the subreddit for more. There we go. For more discussion of Transformers lore. And yeah, have a good day, ladies and gentlemen.